This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. I actually just cracked myself up, and you're going to know why in just a second, because it's going to have something to do with what we're going to be talking about today, and that's priming. Well, we're going to start with priming. And what that is, who does it. I got it from Tony Robbins, and my wife and I, we used to do it every morning. We would start our day priming. The outside world is going to prime you, believe me. The algorithms of life and especially social media, they'll prime you for sure. Well, we need to take control and start our day by priming ourselves. So I'm really excited today, and I'm going to try to calm down just a little bit, because what I'm going to be talking about with you today it's going to change somebody's life that's listening today. I am so sure of this. I got a message, as I always do on occasion, not a lot, but on occasion, I get the occasional message. Does that make sense? Occasionally, I get occasional message that says, Cliff, what you shared with me changed my life. Changed my life. Not true. That's not what happened. They put into practice what I shared with them. That's what changed their life. They did it. They took what they learned or heard or received from me, and they put it into practice, and that's what changed their life. Wow, that just sprung to memory a Bible verse that I've been reading over and over and over again, which is why you should read it over and over again. But those words from that verse actually were coming out of my face right now, and it's that verse that Paul wrote in Philippians 4, somewhere in 10 through 17, where he says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever you have heard from me, received from me, learned, or seen in me, put it into practice, and the peace of God will be with you. Put it into practice. He's saying, model me, model what I've done, or whatever it is. If you've heard it, if you've seen it, you've received it and learned it from me, do it. Do the thing, and you shall have the power. That's going to be one of the messages today. Well, yeah, life is simple for success. It really is. Number one, really, you got to have the energy. Keep your energy up. You got to physically keep yourself in good shape. Keep your energy high so that you can. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at me today and thinking, I don't know, he talks too fast. I'm not sure what he's saying. No, keep that energy up so you can be invested and focused and aware of what's going on all the time, so you can take it all in. One of the things that I've been learning in my improv class, and tonight is my last improv. 4 weeks, where did it go? But I've learned how to be more present, how to be more present in a conversation, how to be more aware and staying in the present moment in a conversation with somebody else, instead of trying to time travel back or forward or get into my head what I'm about to say or pre-plan what I'm going to say in response to someone. Instead, let me be fully invested in what somebody is saying to me, and I'll respond accordingly to whatever happens in the now. And boy, if you can practice that, and I'm learning this in improv class, and you can take that. I'm taking this out into the street. I'm taking it with you right now. I'm taking it right here. I'm present with you right now. Be where you're at, fully 100%. You'll be surprised at the benefits you're going to reap in your life when you're fully where you're at. When you're at work, be there, fully 100%. And when you get home, dinner table, around the family, be there 100%, right? Don't be 50 in here and then half of you still back at work. You were at work at one time, be there 100%, and then when you get home, be there 100%. You'll be surprised at the depth of your relationships and your interactions with other people, and that is where the joy of life comes, because then we take control of two things that control the quality of our lives, which is the quality of our emotions and the quality of our relationships with other people. All right, let's get after it. And I was talking about priming, and I took a few notes today. I was actually relearning what I learned a while ago from Tony Robbins and his priming deal, because every morning, and I got away from it a little bit, but I still wake up. I've habituated asking powerful questions. I've habituated asking myself, what am I grateful for in life? What am I thankful for? What am I looking forward? I still do that, and that really puts you in a positive state of mind right from the start in the morning, which is really important. But Tony takes 10 minutes to prime himself. And he purposely picked 10 minutes because he said, well, if it's 20, it's going to seem too long. 10 seems so manageable, you'll do it every day, and then you'll habituate it, and then you won't even think about it. That's the power of habit. And so what he does is, first of all, he changes his physiology, right? Because he gets up and prime it. It's time to prime it. This is what Alba and I used to do. Prime it. We used to get up and prime it. We used to say that right next to the bed as we got up. What does that do? Automatically, it changes your physiology. You were laying down, you were in bed, you were sleeping. Now, as soon as you're up, you've changed your physiology of how you're moving your body. And then he takes 3 minutes to think about 3 events in his life that he's thankful for. Usually it's 2 big, 1 little, but he does this associated and not disassociated. So get up in the morning, change your physiology, prime it, say it out loud, using your voice, physiology, then thinking images of 3 events that he's thankful for. But he's associated in those things. In other words, if the smile on his daughter's face he thinks about, he's thankful for what would you call it? Let's say the smile on his daughter's face on a roller coaster. But instead of seeing that image from afar, right, disassociated, he sees it as if he's in the car next to her, going over the next hill. So he's associated in that memory. That's how you want to be in it when you think about those. It makes it more, it really resonates more with you. And now you have a sense memory of just not seeing it from a distance, which kind of lessens the impact of it. And you can use that with a negative memory too, right? Something that you have a negative memory that keeps playing in your mind. Well, see it from a distance. Put it farther and farther away. Why don't you dim it down a little bit? Make it black and white, right? Change the volume on it. And now all of a sudden the memory, that negative memory, isn't so impactful on you because you've changed how you're viewing it. But in this sense, he's taking an image or an event that he's thankful for, and that's spending time with his daughter on a roller coaster, and now he's associated in that memory. And he does that on purpose with intention. So he takes the 3 minutes, thinks of those 3 things that he's thankful for and grateful for, and he focuses on those for 3 minutes. And he's in it. And then also what he does, now I know this sounds like positive thinking BS or fluffy blah, 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 but listen, when it comes to being grateful, you can't, the 2 emotions that mess up our lives personally and in business are anger and fear. And so you can't be feeling grateful and angry at the same time. You can't be feeling grateful and fearful at the same time. So you can't hold those 2 emotions in your mind and in your body simultaneous. So since you can't do that, you want to be, that's why in the morning you're getting yourself into that state. And everything you're doing in this priming is what we, I talk about it all the time, as Tony always taught, how to change your state, right? 3 things. We change our physiology. We've done that. Prime it, right? And we say it out loud, right? And then we change our focus. So now we're putting gratefulness in our mind, what we're thinking about, the images, we're controlling that. We're focusing on those things. And then we're also changing our self-talk, what we are saying to ourselves. Can't be fearful, can't be angry, and grateful at the same time. So if you start your day like this, thinking about these things, and you're starting with these real experiences, this aren't imagination, but the real experiences that you've had in your life. Think of real things that you're really thankful for. You're going to go into that positive state. And, you're going to be doing this on a daily basis. And what happens is you're going to be habituating it. And the beautiful thing about habituating habit is you don't have to think about it anymore. So then he takes 3 minutes to really be thankful, not just grateful, but he kind of switches into a blessing. What is he blessed with? What has he been blessed with? Things he didn't earn, but God has graced him with. And so he is thriving because of the blessings that he has in his life. And he thinks about those things for 3 minutes, right? He sees it, he feels it, and he experiences it because these are real life experiences and nothing that he's making up in his head. And then he takes 3 minutes to think about things he wants to accomplish, but instead of seeing it as something he wants, he sees it as already happened. He sees it, he feels it, and he experiences it as something already accomplished. He experiences it as something already accomplished. Feel it, and he celebrates it. He's already celebrated. That goes along with the biblical lessons too, right? Pray, put it in God's hand as if it's already is done. God has it in his hands. He's gone to work on it. Then the next thing he does, and I've been doing this, but I need to do it better. I don't do it every morning, but I should do this. Next, he sends several text messages or video messages or audio messages to several people with sincere compliments. And not fluffy bullshit either. You're great, you're awesome. No, he takes the time to make sure these are messages with depth to them. In other words, right, some recent experiences that are authentic. That, like myself, I had an experience at Coastline Community Church. I was there for the safety meeting, and we were talking, and I was talking about some of the challenges that I was going through, right, the trials and tribulations, and having to furnish a new studio and a new place, a new house here, that I do own this place, but it's one of the 2 properties that we own. And one of the team members, Eric, says, well, I own Atlantic Fine Furniture over here on Harbor City Drive, and hey, take a visit over there. We'll be glad to take care of you. And I said, well, sure, I'm going to go over there. And then so I was, I had to buy a sofa, a couch. And so I went in there, and he's got a pretty big warehouse. Now I was met by Stephanie immediately with a smile, enthusiasm, not salesy, genuine, authentic, greeting me with a joyous nature. And I felt comfortable saying what I was looking for. And she says, well, sure, what price range? And I told her that I'm looking for a price range really around $800 to $1,000. Well, come over here. And she showed me a couple they had there, and they have a lot there, but then they have it's a giant screen, touch screen, right? It's a giant catalog. And then she goes through all these things, and she said, and I told her what some of the things I wanted in the sofa. I want a recliner around each end. I want this and that. And she showed me, well, here's this and this price range. And listen, it comes from the manufacturer. It's going to be 2 weeks. But then we can deliver it right to your place. Our people will deliver it, set it up, and make sure it's ready in perfect condition when they leave. And I go, well, I like this one, and I want it. And so she pushed the button, and we made the transaction happen. Now, I went in there with the intention of, really, asking for Eric, the owner that I had met at the safety team, or, mentioning his name. Maybe I'll get better service. But I had got such great service from the moment I went through the front door with Stephanie and everybody that I talked to in the place. I just ended up mentioning Eric's name near the end of our transaction, but I had already bought. And sure enough, 2 weeks to the day, and the day before they called me to arrange delivery between 10 and 1. It's not that big of a window. Matter of fact, they got there at 10:15. Right? So Jordan and Chris showed up and to deliver my sofa, and they were wonderful. They took it, put it in, plastic off, set it up, boom, boom, take pictures. Are you happy with it here? Are you sign, pop, pop. Hey, here's a QR code. Please give us a review. Oh, I'm going to give you an excellent review, believe me. And so are you a third, I saw this, they had Atlantic Furniture shirts on. But, a lot of places they third party or they contract out for delivery. And he goes, oh, no, we work at Atlantic Furniture. We are part of the team. And so, wow, I just couldn't wait to tell Eric, and I sent him a long message. Actually, I sent a message on our community church. There was a chat group, and I wanted to share that with everybody, the experience that I had going through the front door. Quality and service, top notch, from the beginning to the end, even to delivery. And Eric is running a top-notch, obviously a faith-based operation out of service. Everybody there was humble to serve the best they could. Quality high, service high. And so I made sure I sent a long message saying, hey, you got to stop in and check Eric's place out because this has been my experience. Now, I did go Google reviews and I left the same kind of review and mentioned everybody by name that I dealt with. And so that's something we can do. And it serves them, but it serves us too. We get just as much joy out of it. It goes back to there's just as much or more pleasure in the giving than there is in the receiving. But that's a personal message. That was a personal experience of me sending a message. But I could do a better job in the morning of sending messages because Tony talks about make sure that it's not a fluffy fluff message, generic. No, that it's, hey, listen, you know what? I saw the way you interacted with those two kids yesterday and the joy on their faces. I mean, what you did really impacted them, and I really appreciated seeing that. So bravo on that. And so that's how we can make it really personable. And if you start doing that and make that a habit, it forces you to be constantly looking for the good in the people around you, right? The people you work with, your family, your friends, or anybody you're associated with. It forces you to be looking for those things because you want to be giving authentic, really heartfelt compliments. So now you start looking for those things. Another thing Tony says is to, after you've done all this, is to take the most challenging thing that you're going to have to do that day and smash that out first. Get that out of the way first because that's going to put you in momentum and the rest of the day is going to be a breeze. But another note on acknowledging other people. When you sincerely acknowledge someone, it depends. When you succeed, let me start that over. When you sincerely acknowledge someone, it deepens every relationship you have because, see, you notice something no one else has noticed, and it deepens the connection between you and that person. People really, right? It goes back to that. What's the saying? People don't care what you know until they know that you care. It really shows that you care, that you're paying attention. Man, you're really paying attention to detail. You're watching. You're taking note. You've seen them. People want to get caught doing great things, right? And you're the one that's catching them, doing the great, where no one else is catching it, right? They're too busy. They're in their head, right? Instead of getting out of their head and focusing on the other person, they're in their head, and so things, get missed. But when you start deepening these relationships and the connection with other people, I mean, I took a note of what Tony was saying on one of his interviews today that I was replaying. The quality of life, the quality of your life depends on the quality of two things: the quality of your emotions and the quality of your relationships, right? If your emotions are terrible, your relationships are going to be just as terrible, right? If I can have great emotions and extend that out to help other people, I feel more alive. I do it for me and them, right? And 40 to 50% of what we do is habitual. The great thing about habit is you don't have to think about it. Trials and tribulations. I don't know why I put that down there, but I found myself now in trials and tribulations, right? It goes back to more in the Bible. I've been in the Word. Bible's the best self-help book there is, the best leadership book there is. I did a short video on this the other day, but you could just read Proverbs alone over and over again, and your life will change. Guaranteed, by the way. That's not even a half-ass promise. That's a true thing. But it's James 1, I believe. He says, in all trials, count them all joy. Count it all joy. In every situation, be joyful, right? Philippians 4, 10 through 17 starts with, right? 4 starts with, rejoice in the Lord always. I'll say it again, Paul said, rejoice. The Lord is near. Put all your troubles on God. But I found myself, talk about habituation and habits that luckily I've habituated, right? I found myself in my tennis group, interacting with my tennis partners. I found myself in my some of my gym associations, and I found myself going to the store, and I found myself, smiling at other people and greeting them with a joyous nature, and just really expressing that, and I've been habituating being in such a positive state for so long that I've defaulted to that. And I bring that up because I've been going through these trials and tribulations. I found myself in the car and I'm saying to myself, as I reflected on the troubles I'm going through in my life, and I'm thinking, wow, I really do have good reason to be despondent and weeping here and in despair, right? But out of habit, I've been changing my state into a positive one. When I'm interacting with other people, I found myself, with a joyous nature and smile and expressing that to other people. And so that's a good habit that we need to get into. I mean, what good is it if we're in the habit of being joyful and expressing such a great mood to other people and bringing other people up and inspiring and motivating other people only during the good times, and then when bad times hit, we can't take those same strategies, tactics, and tools in our toolbox, because that's when we need them, right? That's when we need to change our state. It's okay to feel the full range of our emotions. There's no doubt that that's the healthiest way to live life, to be able to, and most people who are depressed and feeling bad have a good reason to. I know I have a good reason to. It's justified for sure, but also if you look at it, it's episodic. This is not going to be forever. This is an episode of life that's causing great despair and worry and anxiety. But now that you can recognize it's episodic, for too many people I see close to me and those that aren't, they're covering up these emotions that they really should be feeling, or figuring out why, what's the underlying cause. But no, they're using alcohol and or drugs, psychiatric medications, they call them, but they're drugs that are altering the way they think, how their brain works. And in some cases, they are feeling better because their emotions are blunted on the positive and on the negative, and they feel like they're doing better, but they're not doing better. They are what some psychiatrists call, they're spellbound and thinking they're doing great on these medications. I hate to say medications, on these drugs, but they're not doing so good, and everybody around them sees that they're not doing so great. And so it's important to feel full range of emotions and then recognize it's probably an episodic thing that we're going through. A parent died, this happened or that happened. You probably justified in feeling that emotion, the sadness. Okay, but you realize you're going to get through it. You're walking through it. Keep walking. And something that I'm reminding myself even today. But I was thinking in the car about this, and I was thinking, okay, wait, that's a good thing that I've habituated this state, and I'm feeling the full range of my emotions. It's good to realize that if you're depressed or feeling down, you might have a great reason, but you should also realize it's a season of life. And I'll tell you, the value of making something habitual means you don't have to take up space in your brain processing it. It frees up space to do other things, to think about other things. When you habituate things, the great thing about habit is you don't have to think about it. You got to think about it this way, and I'll use a metaphor because I like using metaphors. Let me know if you do. Leave a comment, right? If you ever had to, and I don't know if anybody does anymore, but when I was a kid, most all of us learned how to operate a stick shift, right? A manual shifter. When you're first learning a manual, you have to be so focused. You got to operate the clutch. You got to know where first gear is. Okay, and then you got to let off on the clutch in a certain way. At the same time, you're pressing on the gas at a certain level. And you kind of have to coordinate all of these things together, or the car jerks, it stalls out, and you think you're never going to get it. And your brain is overwhelmed by trying to think of all these things at the same time so intently. Oh, my goodness. And then eventually, habitually, right, you've made it in the habit now of how to shift gears, clutch, brake, pedal, boom, boom. Now it's so habitual. It's such a habit. When you're shifting, now you're having a conversation. You're thinking about other things. Between shifts, you're operating the radio, right? And before, you were so overwhelmed, but now shifting, right, simultaneously coordinated to operate clutch, gas, gears, and now you've habituated that coordination to such an extent, your brain is now free to think and do other things. And that's the great things about habituating, what we do. And our state of mind is probably one of the most important things. But I'm going to talk about another episode. It's like when we started working out in the beginning, when I was 15, 16 years old. Well, over 50 years I've been training with weights, working out. But when you first start working out, it's kind of a chore, right? I don't want to do this. And now, after a while, it's like you get to do it to the point where, man, if you don't work out for a few days, you start feeling anxiety. You start feeling anxious. You might get pissed off and snap at somebody. Oh, sorry, I haven't worked out in a few days. You actually need to, and it's going to go into another episode I'm going to do about this man Blumenthal, who did a study on effects and the study of the effects of exercise on depression and how it really fared better as an antidepressant than drugs did. And so there's a whole study on that. I'm going to do an episode on that. But we don't get exhausted or tired from our workouts anymore now that we've habituated working out. And it stimulates, it does so much for our health. I could go an hour on that, but we actually get energy from it. I worked out today. I actually did, you might call it overtraining today, right? I was an hour and a half in the gym. Now listen, to get the benefits of exercise and health and moving, move a lot throughout the day. Number one, important. Number two, get your workout in at the gym, weight resistance, but really to progress, you only need to do weight resistance 3 days a week, 45 minutes at a time. You don't have to be in the gym for 2 hours. Now, I'm in the gym sometimes for an extended period of time. I'm having a great time. I'm not socializing, but I have things that I want to do. And right now I'm on a high intensity 10-day run in consecutive days. Do I have to? No, I picked to do it, right? Doing hard things. I've habituated the good feeling from achieving hard things. And so I've picked to do that myself. I've given myself that 10 days of hard, high-intensity training. So I did an hour and a half of weight training. Then I actually did 25 minutes of jump roping, which in effect, I'm just keeping my heart rate at a certain level. So I'm jumping rope for 20 seconds to 50 to a minute, and then I'm resting 30, 40 seconds, then I'm back at it. And I'm doing the boxer skip, and I'm having fun with my jumping rope. It's fun to do. And then I walked on the beach, and then as I learned in my Primal Health Coach Institute, it's so good because it mimics what we did as hunter-gatherers. Every 7 to 10 days, you should sprint, because that's what we used to have to do when we got game, when we had to hunt things down. We had to sprint. We weren't on a treadmill for 2 hours. We didn't walk vigorously for 2 hours. We actually saved energy until when we had to really sprint and be fast for a short period of time. So I sprinted on the beach after my workout, and that was fantastic. But I get energy from my workout. Now, Dean and Tony have I'm doing a webinar with those two in a few days about AI, artificial intelligence. It's here to stay. It's scary, some of the negative things that they're using it for and changing things and videos you can get caught up in watching. But like anything, we can use it for good. I've been using it for writing the description of my YouTube videos. Now you have to review it. Sometimes there's mistakes, but if you put in exactly the major elements that you want describing your episode, AI will write that description so beautifully. It's better than I could do it. And it gets the message across of what the video is about. Now, it's not, I don't just, run it and skip it. I run it and it saves me a bunch of time, and it writes a beautiful paragraph of what my episode is about. And I monitor it and I make any corrections that I need to make. So we should start using AI. Use it for your advantage. Use it for good. And because you know what it can do? It can actually save time. All of us, if we're paying attention and we're not just sitting on the rocking chair, We get overwhelmed today with everything that we're paying attention to. We're paying attention too much. We got to do this. I need to do my graphics. I need to make a video. I need to edit it. I need whatever your thing is that you're doing. You can get caught up. The world is vying for our attention, right? I mean, that's where the money is, where the eyeballs are. That's why the news is. They want, if it bleeds, it leads. So that's why the news wants to create and focus on some really crazy crap to get your eyes on it, and so that you can't take your eyes off it. So the longer you're on their platform, because there's a competition with that. There's not a great competition really for positively impacting material like I'm sharing with you today. A lot of people aren't really going to be interested in living their best life. If you talk to them, or you don't even have to talk to them, look at their lives and you can see that their potential, you could probably see their potential, how unlimited it is, but you can see their life and you can see the results of the actions they're taking or not taking. It's pretty obvious with most people as soon as they walk into the room. All right, let's see. I took another note here. The AI summit's coming up that Tony and Dean are really going to show me and a bunch of other people how we can better use artificial intelligence to our own advantage so that we can actually save time, save overwhelm, make it work to our advantage. And man, Tony really hit the home today when he talked about, he talked about the 3 things for a great life. The 3 things. And one of the 3 things that we need to do for a great life is recognize patterns. Recognize patterns. That's the first skill we need to have to be great. When humanity recognized the seasons, the world changed. Right? When they went from hunter-gathering to realizing they could plant and reap, the world changed. When they realized, right, people could plant in the spring, protect in the summer, harvest, reap in the fall, which would then get them through the winter to the next spring. Winter can be tough. Some winters are long, some are short, but every single winter is followed by spring. I'm in a winter right now, but I know it's followed by spring. I don't know how long this winter is going to last. I only know what's always followed for the past several million years, and that is spring has followed winter. And so recognize the patterns, recognize the seasons as a pattern, and once the world recognized that, the planting, reaping, and sowing, everything changed. And when the world changed, they created communities, cities, states, and America. It changed the world, this recognition of patterns. Yeah, right? Yeah, right. You plant in the fall and try to water in the winter, you're going to starve. So as soon as you recognize patterns and use them, 1, recognize the pattern. 2, you got to put it into practice. Now, we recognize natural seasons. Now, for true power, we got to recognize the seasons for us personally. Seasons not only happen in the nature, they happen to us personally. There's a set of seasons in our own personal lives. Now, Tony talks about stages of life, and let me clarify, right? This can vary depending on each individual. Some people get it quick, some people don't. But generally 0 to 21, right? Life is pretty easy, right? It's pretty supportive. Everybody's kind of involved in supporting you. Pretty easy, 0 to 21. And 21 to 41, right? Now you're in the real world, right? And things sometimes are a little different from how we learned how they were going to be. Now we're in the real world. Oh, relationships don't quite happen like I thought they were going to happen. Wow, I'm 35 and I'm not the president of the United States, even though I expected to be. So we're always testing what we learned against the reality of what's going on in these stages. But so 21 to 41, we're putting into practice what we learned from the 0 to 21 stage. And then from 41 to 62-ish, and I found this to be pretty accurate, we reap what we were sowing in the previous range, right? Now we're reaping our benefits. And man, I know I was so thankful. I reaped all the benefits from my previous stage, definitely from 41 to 62. And it's a great stage to understand life and get revelations to the understanding of how everything works and why and how we're reaping what we sowed from years past. Now, if we're lucky, then we go from 63 to 83 and maybe 83 to 103. I think the longest living human right now is 119. So wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities, 83 to 103. But in this stage, 63 to 83, maybe 83 and beyond. But now we've got an extended final season of our life. And so then that's where we get to be the mentor, the coach. We get to share. We get to make a difference. Now, the most powerful people, they not only recognize patterns, but their second skill is utilization. Putting a pattern into practice, they use it. How did Jeff Bezos become one of the richest men in the world? Well, he studied the internet and how it worked and how to sell things. And he started with books and he made it convenient, right? One-click sales. Then he expanded to what was being sold. And he learned that people valued convenience over everything else, right? You could click it once and it's done on your doorstep. Next day. Crazy, right? He recognized pattern. He used the pattern. And then, next stage, you create your own pattern. So important to learn the seasons in nature, and then the seasons in our own personal life, and then the seasons in history, because they're repeated, everybody. They're repeated. Here's the reason for our optimism. Oh, somebody said that to me about a week ago, right? They said, you know what? You're optimistic. You know what? I take pleasure in that accusation, and I want to tell you, you're correct. But we have a reason for our optimism. You know why? Because winter is not forever. War is not forever. Everything changes. That's one thing that stays the same. Everything changes. Everything ends, which means something new occurs. This is the way life is. We may not like it, but this is how life works. I know it's a tough pill. Even I have to swallow today, but that's all right. Everything ends, which means something new begins. In the Bible, it says every day we can have the renewal of our minds. We're given a new day. We're reborn again every day. The past does not equal the future, right? I made a short video today was saying, you know what, give yourself a present by being present where you are. Wherever you are, there you are. And you know what? Be present at the location you're at. Don't time travel with this damn brain of yours. It's so easy to time travel back, forward. All we really have is right now. Don't time travel. Damn it, it's so important. That's good news about the winter, right? It's always followed by springtime every damn time. It's never changed throughout the history of the world. Some are long, some are short, but always followed by spring. God set it up that way. Isn't that amazing? You have to believe in God. He set this stuff up this way. No one else could. It had to be set up. There's no way it happens by chance. Now, I've heard this quote quite a bit lately, and maybe you have too, but it doesn't hurt to hear it again. Matter of fact, I sometimes screw it up, so I'm going to read it word for word, but it's so true. And it's a pattern that we can recognize and put it into practice, and we can live within this pattern. And doing so, we can anticipate, right? Leaders anticipate. Losers react. You and I, we're not losers. We're leaders. We're servant leaders. We're even beyond regular leaders. When you get into leadership, you can kind of sometimes get into management. No, we're servant leaders. We try to be more like Jesus was, right? He humbled himself to be a servant, right? The apostles' feet, he got down and washed them as an example, hoping that they would wash other people's feet. They would humble themselves and not get too full of themselves. But here's that saying I sometimes screw up, so I'm going to say it out loud. Good times create weak people. Weak people create bad times. Bad times creates strong people. Strong people create good times. It's a cycle. It's a season. It's a pattern. And now it's been repeated in history the world over and over again. Right? Let's recognize patterns. If we can see patterns and anticipate patterns, then we can lead and we can reap the benefits of recognition of patterns and utilize them. Leaders anticipate, losers react. Let's start anticipating. Oh, you know what Tony said? I think I need to learn this. See, a lot of things I need to learn. A lot of these lessons are for me, not for you. So you can just listen in and maybe you'll get something from it. Winter can be a horrible time. You can be huddled, shivering in the corner, freezing to death. Or as Tony Robbins likes to say, you can ski, snowboard, and have a great time with your family. You can make that choice, even in the winter. Now, I found this very enlightening. Most successful businesses started in winter. He named a bunch of them, and he named them after this percent. 68% of the Fortune 1000 companies started in either a recession or depression. 68% started. 68% of the Fortune 1000 started in either a recession or depression. This is our time, everybody. This is our time. Not only in the world are we in a winter that we're almost through. For me personally, I'm in a winter. I'm in a deep, damn winter. But this is our time. We have to get our heads on straight. Keep our energy strong. And it's hard to do when people around us are fearful. They're holding back. They've been affected by the opinions of the world, how bad things are. But no, we have to take back our control. Of what? Our minds, our thoughts, and our actions. That's what we have to do. I'm telling you, this information that I talked about today is somebody is going to take that, and they're the ones who are going to take it, put it into practice, and their life is going to change. And it's going to be changed not because of what I said, but because of what they are going to do. And God set it up that way. God said that he would feed every bird, but he doesn't put food in the nest. They have to go do it. They have to go get it. So God has done his part, and now it's up to us. We got to do our part. I hope this resonated with one person out there. That's all I care about, really. And send me a message or leave a comment if it resonated with you. And if it did, it's your job. It's part of your ministry, believe it or not, to pass this on to somebody else. And if you haven't already, everybody, subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel. If you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, I implore you, as a favor to me, if you got any value out of this at all, go on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, get notified when the next video comes out. I'm going to guarantee you there'll be some good content coming your way. Sometimes my brain is thinking so fast, my tongue stumbles over the words as they come out in rapid succession. All right, everybody. You know what to do. I'm Cliff Yates. You know I love you, and I will see you in the next episode.